Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and my brain hole is still blown from the Across the Spider-Verse trailer. I'm sure I'm not the only one here wondering why all these Spider-Men are attacking Miles Morales. What exactly does he do to warrant him getting dogpiled on by dozens of multiversal spider totems? I have a theory that we may find ourselves in the midst of a Spidey on Spidey civil war, or as John Watts would call it, Spider-Man home war. When we last saw Miles at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, it was revealed that Gwen found a way to reliably travel the multiverse, and the teaser we saw last December seemingly picks up here, with Gwen stopping by to check in on her pal and do some superheroics. The hexagonal portal tech she's using, as well as the bracelet she sports, look to all be inventions by Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099 of Earth 928. We saw the beginnings of this in the post-credits scene of Into the Spider-Verse, where Miguel and his AI Lila invent autonomous multiversal travel, and he began to recruit a team of web warriors. According to the official Sony synopsis, this movie follows Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man as he's catapulted across the multiverse, encountering a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. These are essentially the web warriors or Spider Force from the comics who defend the web of life and destiny that connects the multiverse. Very clearly, Miguel is leading this operation, and Gwen is part of his Spidey squad. According to the post-trailer interview with producer and co-writers Phil Lord and Chris Miller and actor Haley Steinfeld, Gwen Stacy is invited into the Spider Club, and Miles pointedly isn't. And it's low-key because he isn't cool enough to hang, for a specific reason that Stacy isn't telling him. Lord said to Steinfeld, quote, "Basically, you got invited into Oscar Isaac's, aka Miguel's, cool Spider Force. You get invited into the Spider Society and Miles doesn't, and you sorta can't tell him why." The fact that Gwen is keeping a secret from Miles is a very interesting mystery box that we'll circle back to trying to crack open. For now, let's examine the Spider Society. I think that we're gonna see Miguel enforce the rules of his interdimensional superhighway, guarding the multiverse from other travelers with nefarious intentions. After all, with great power comes great responsibility. Judging by how the first movie established that multiversal travel can come with dangerous hiccups, from incursions to the complete cellular decay, that's clearly a responsibility that weighs heavy on Miguel. But I think it's how he carries out that responsibility that ultimately leads to his conflict with Miles. In that Miller-Lord-Steinfeld interview, Miller notes that the first movie was about the idea that anyone can wear the mask, while this movie is about how do you wear the mask. So not only do I immediately know that this film will do a multiversal Uncle Ben speech cutaway gag, but we know that this film will explore methods and degrees of balancing power with responsibility. How Miles handles crime fighting and prevention versus how Miguel handles crime fighting and prevention. This is where the villain of the movie, suspiciously missing from the trailer, the Spot, comes in. The rest of the official synopsis basically tells us that the way Miles approaches the Spot versus how Miguel approaches the Spot is the core conflict of the movie. It states, when the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders and must redefine what it means to be a hero so he can save the people he loves most. So how can the Spot factor into all of this? In the comics, Dr. Jonathan Ahn was a scientist hired by Kingpin to recreate the Cloak's teleportation powers. His research sent him to a dimension of half darkness, half light, surrounded by portals that he called Spot World. After finding his way back to his original dimension, he discovered that the portals had stuck to his skin, allowing him to space warp. Although the comics paint the Spot as a joke, Across the Spider-Verse producer Kemp Powers warns us that when you really look at his powers, there's incredible potential. And he's right. Portal travel is no joke, and wielding a power like that definitely comes with great responsibility. You don't F around with the multiverse, just ask Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Oh wait, you can't, because he messed up the multiverse so bad that everyone forgot he existed. There is not a single person on the planet who hasn't seen anything Star Wars and not wanted a lightsaber. That's a scientific fact. Now you can bring the science fiction weapon of your dreams into the reality of your life with Own a Saber. Own a Saber makes super high quality replicas of lightsabers, like this one! This is the SN Pixel model of the Doomsaber, and it rules. Fun fact, we almost missed our deadline for shooting a video today because we were running around the office pretending to be Jedi. This thing is awesome! The hilt is made from metal aluminum alloy, so it has a good heft to it, and the blade is polycarbonate, so you don't have to worry about it shattering if you know, thwack a coworker with it. The Saber also has a TXQ RGB soundboard that lets you make the same sounds you'd hear in any Star Wars show or movie, like blaster blocks, lockups, and blade tip drags. You can also choose from 9 different blade colors, so you can change your saber to suit your strategically shifting alliances. Own a Saber is currently offering free shipping on all orders made during December, and if you use code Rockstars at checkout, you can save an additional 20% off, making this the perfect gift for all the Jedi and Sith on your list. Just click the link in the description below, or go to ownasaber.com to find your saber today. So here we have a character with the power to jump dimensions, and who can do so without Miguel's tech, consent, or safety precautions. Whether the Spot knows it or not, that makes him a multiversal threat, and Miguel's job is to eliminate threats. And how does Miguel eliminate threats? The words excessive force come to mind. Not only do we see him ragdolling Miles across dimensions, but the comic version of Miguel is pretty brutal, and the crew of Across the Spider-Verse reportedly nicknamed him Property Damage Spider-Man, because everything gets destroyed in this dude's wake. Miles, on the other hand, will likely take a more sympathetic approach to the Spot. According to producer Kemp Powers, the Spot and Miles are connected in surprising ways, which leads me to believe that the Spot they're fighting over will be from the same universe as Miles. Like his comic counterpart, the Spot was likely a scientist who was working on Fisk's forays into dimensional travel. He may have even been an unseen casualty when Fisk rebooted his particle collider, possibly trapped between dimensions when Miles shut it down. Another villain inadvertently created by a Spider-Man. From an article in Variety back in June 2022, we learned that the Spot's character design will evolve as the character does. It said, quote, "As the filmmakers explained, the villain will feature a character design meant to call to mind an unfinished sketch, featuring blue construction lines that evoke a comic book artist's rough drawing before the work goes on to an inker. The design itself will evolve over the course of the film as the character changes and grows, taking on a more fearsome shape as he learns to better apply his own powers." This to me sounds like Dr. Ahn is almost being slowly regenerated back into reality like Dr. Manhattan when he first got his powers. If Spot's powers were the result of an accident like they were in the comics, Miles would understand where he was coming from, especially if he doesn't know exactly how to control his powers. Miles didn't know how to control his either. But I think the interpersonal spider drama goes deeper than just Miguel trying to kill the Spot, while Miles tries to help him control his powers. Like, obviously I gotta bring up the dead kid hint, right? In the trailer, we see Miguel gazing at an old photo of him and his daughter Gabriella eating ice cream, which, combined with the fact that all Spider-Men experience a tragic loss, hints that she's most likely deceased. It wouldn't be all that surprising to find out that the Spot is somehow partially responsible for Gabriella's death. But what if Miguel's Spot isn't Miles' Spot? As far as we know, only 2 dimensions have successfully invented the means to jump into the multiverse. To me, this says that we can expect to see the Spot slowly come into his powers in the same way that Miles had to learn to control his. So here's where one part of my theory comes in. What if the Spot's powers somehow directly or indirectly caused the death of Miguel's daughter? If he ran into Miguel and Gabriella while he was still trying to get the gist of his powers, he could have made a mistake that ultimately cost the little girl her life. The person who killed Gabriella may not have been the Spot we're gonna see voiced by Jason Schwartzman. It could have been his long ago variant from Nueva York. Our version of the Spot could have gotten his powers in Kingpin's busted portal explosion, and was thrust into Spot World just like his comic counterpart. Perhaps the Spider-Verse's version of the Spot dimension is even connected to the web of life and destiny. If this hypothetical situation is true, he would have gained the ability to instantly do what took Miguel years to invent when he emerged. This could explain why Miguel is so hellbent on protecting the multiverse and controlling interdimensional travel as much as possible. If the person he loved most was killed by careless space warping, I could see him making it his life's mission to prevent something like that ever happening again. And that's where part 2 of this theory comes in. If Miles learns that Miguel wants to kill or punish the Spot for his inability to control his extreme powers, he could take the Spot's side. After all, he just spent the entirety of Into the Spider-Verse struggling to master his own powers. And if Miles is struggling to fit into the cool crowd at Spidey Central, he could turn a sympathetic eye to a fellow outcast. If this is the case, and Miles protests against Miguel's harsh rules in favor of a more compassionate treatment of the Spot, we could very well have a Spider-Man Civil War on our hands. In the same way that Tony and Cap fought over what to do about the Sokovia Accords, we might see Miles and Miguel go head-to-head, each believing that their side is right. If Miguel sees taking Spot out as a part of his duty to protect the multiverse, Miles may argue to give this guy a chance. Like Iron Man and Steve Rogers, both Miguel and Miles would have valid reasons for their beliefs, but wouldn't be able to compromise. And it's possible that this is when things get ugly for Miles. With Miguel blindly determined to keep the Spider-Verse from harm, this could be when he calls for the rest of the Spideys to turn against the party crasher. We do know that Gwen eventually calls Miguel out, saying,
"We are supposed to be the good guys."
So my guess is that she eventually sees that his methods aren't as heroic as she and the others thought that they were. Miles won't be alone in this fight for long, and after clashing with Miguel on how to handle the Spot, they may need to work together to stop this portal jumper from growing strong enough to break the multiverse. Ultimately, I believe that the theme of this movie is going to be about how each Spider-Man chooses to wear the mask. Are Miguel's more more aggressive tactics against the Spot's presence the right way to handle things? Or is Miles' non-judgmental, more understanding approach better? Will Miles' naivete and past experiences blind him towards the Spot's capacity for harm? And will Miguel find humanity in his nemesis? We're gonna have to wait till 2023 to find out, but in the meantime, I wanna know what you guys think in the comments. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at WhitneyPuppy, follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love, and thanks for watching. Bye!